Hi, Woodchugger here. I want to show you some stuff I check on my RV before I go out getting firewood. Every time I go out, I always check them for leaks. If I take them off, go get them filled, then I put them back on. I always want to check, make sure it's not leaking. One time it happened where didn't notice it was leaking and realized that we went through a lot more propane and I didn't know that I had a leak. I'm going to show you some easy ways. Thanks for tuning in to my channel. And let's get to testing and make sure our propane isn't leaking. So I got this pump spray. You don't have to have this style. You can have a spray bottle. And if you're out and about camping, you can actually get a rag or a towel or whatever, soak it completely, put some dish soap on it, palmolive soap, or you can take a bar of soap and put it on the rag, fold it over and just really lather it up to where it gets a lot of suds. And you can squeeze the rag to where it pours over the spot and it'll bubble up if it's leaking. So you don't have to have this or a spray bottle. You can just use a rag. As long as you got soap, it'll create bubbles so it kind of blows up and you can see where the leak's at. So we're gonna check and see. I just filled them up and I got palmolive soap in here, little pump, nice and sudsy. So I'll get you in here a little closer. We're gonna check it. I recommend making sure these aren't supposed to be cranked down with any tools. You're supposed to just hand tight. And if you go and crank on them with a tool, then you're smashing that rubber boot that's inside the actual neck here. And you're smashing it. So every time you put them back on, you have to get it that tight. So you always want to start off. I recommend just putting them on. That's how I do it. You tighten them up. Just tighten them up real good. Not super tight, but just tight enough to where you think it's tight. And then I suds it up and make sure it's not leaking. If it's not leaking, then that's tight enough. The more you tighten this, the more it crushes the rubber boot inside. So the less you can crush the rubber boot, longer it'll last. It still gives that little cushion. This is how I do it. So I don't know if it's leaking, but I want to make sure. So let's get the zoom in here. So we're going to check around this spot here. We just want to check, make sure it's not sudsing up. So I'm going to get you in. So that one's not doing anything, but I'm actually going to open up so you can actually see it. I want you to see what it looks like when there's a leak. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like when there's a leak. Anybody can do this. It's not rocket science. Here, see that bubble right there? So let me pop it. I'm gonna spray it again so you can see what a leak looks like. Let me spray it. See the bubbles right there? So there's a leak. So I'm just gonna tighten it up a little bit more. And you don't have to tighten these up really crazy, just so you know that there's no gas leak. No leak there. So a lot of times it's not here, especially when you get new ones. If it does leak, so if there's no leak on this side and it's leaking over here and you got this thing super tight, basically over years, these are only good for so long. I think it's what, 3-4 years or so. So if you tighten this up, hand tight, if you have a hard time gripping it, you can put a towel on it so you can at least give it a good tightness if you don't have the strength to do it. But if you can't tighten them up by hand, and I barely tighten this because these are new, but if these lines are bad and you got sprayed up here and you got a leak here in this part, it's most likely it's this line that you need to replace. Once you replace this line, and you won't have a leak here because this is part of the seal. So if you do have a leak, then it's this top part. That means the rubber boot inside, and I'll show you. Make sure it's off. And I'll show you the boot inside that wears out that I've noticed. So inside, there is a boot in here. Right up in here. There you go. There's a boot inside all the way around here, the rim. So that boot goes bad. So if you checked everything else and it's still leaking, it's probably this rubber boot. So you just need to go and get your tanks renewed, basically. You just go in and if you need to get another tank, go for it. So you have a backup. But you can go and swap the whole tank out, and they'll have a new top on it and then new boot. So as long as the inside of this is all smooth around here and it's still leaking on this side, then you need to just go get a new one of these. That's basically what I do to check my tanks, and I check them every time. I've had an issue with them before, and you don't notice they're leaking until you actually check them with the water and soap. I hope you guys liked my video. Make sure you leave comments. Let me know what you think. I hope it helps other people out on saving their propane. You definitely don't want to lose it when you're out there. And I have some other tricks and ways to show how much propane you got in your tank. It's very helpful. So stay tuned to more woodchucker how-to videos. Thank you very much.